I was I played a show last Friday, um, not yesterday, a week ago yesterday. Um, First one in a long time. I was talking with a friend of a friend who came to check it out, and he sort of dropped this like dropped this phrase, something to the effect of um, like words dream of being lyrics or something like that. This I don't know. After a couple of beers, sounded pretty poetic, and so I wrote it down. And then the chorus is sort of different than I was first anticipating. I had been listening to a podcast, and one of the characters at this moment of possible redemption was to the person that he's reconciling with, saying something to the effect of like don't like don't you come over here and give me a hug and tell me everything's going to be all right if you don't mean it.
Oh,
And
cool.
I thought those were two really interesting things to sort of put in conversation with one another. So um, I'm still kind of figuring out how it all fits together lyrically, but thought this thought this had maybe a little bit of promise, or at least I liked some of the imagery that popped up in it.
Yeah, cool. All right, here we go. Oh, it's so good.
I dream of you like language dreams of poetry, like lyrics dream of singing, like stars dream of the night. You are the exit sign when I'm dozing at the wheel, when my mind can't tell what's real. You're the North Star's guiding light. But don't you hug me unless you mean it. Don't say you love me without feeling. I see your face in the lilacs and the dogwoods. I'd do everything that I could just to see you smile again. I'll spend my days working pencils down to nubbins till my energy is nothing and you won't hear me complain. Don't you hug me unless you mean it. Don't say you love me without feeling. If you won't give me your heart, then don't give me your hand, 'cause I'd rather be your slave than a lonely man. Just because you walk on water doesn't mean that I can swim. Don't walk me to the door if you don't plan to let me in. But don't you hug me unless you mean it. Don't say you love me without feeling. without feeling.
Yeah, wonderful. So good. Let's see. Any love song that has the word nubbins in it is is a winner to me. I'm trying to think of any song. I'm trying to think of any time I've ever heard the word nubbins in a song, and I can't recall. So that's a pretty big thing. Give me a second just to kind of collect my thoughts. There's a couple thoughts brewing, um, and I'm kind of trying them out. I dream of you like language dreams of poetry. Holy cow! If you did not give yourself a high five when you wrote that, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. That's such a beautiful line.
Well, the those first three little images, what I like about them is that like those like language and lyrics and stars, like they all exist, but you don't notice them until certain times.
Yeah,
You know, and I thought that was sort of like just an interesting observation that like, you know, you don't, the stars are always out, but you only see them when it's night. And language is all around us, but sometimes you don't notice it unless it's poetic in some way.
yeah,
And lyrics are the same thing. Like you can read lyrics, but when you hear them sung to you, that's when you really experience them. Um, and I thought that made an interesting like jump into the rest of this song of like the narrator sort of feeling like I'm here and I've been here this whole time, but like unrecognized or unappreciated in some way. Maybe
yeah.
I haven't quite
No, it's
gotten
really
it.
no, it's really beautifully done. All right. So here's my thought on the choruses. Again, it's everyone will agree here how just lovely and wonderful it is. Um, but there's a thing you can do to add one more element of loss to this, and it's a simple thing. And as I said, it was brewing in my brain, and I was just kind of trying out. I'm like, okay, do I really want to say this? And I think I do. All right, so I would consider this a strong recommendation. I'd like you to try this, and
Okay.
unless it's just like grossly terrible and like, oh my gosh, let us never speak of that suggestion again because it was so bad. um, I would, what I would like you to do, I'd like you to do this, and I'll tell you what. All right, so don't you hug me unless you mean it. Dun, 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 dun. Don't you say you love me without feeling. Dun, 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 dun. Don't you hug me unless you mean it. Dun, dun, oh, like just kind of normal. All right, so here's what I'm going for. It's really a weird psychological effect.
Okay.
All right, so when we write a song, um, the the standard for songs everywhere, every genre, every style, every decade is 4 lines for a section.
Sure.
And if not 4 lines, 2 lines, and we would call that a very balanced. I mean, we're like, well, and actually not even songs, poetry for ages, like, so we're dealing with a collective human experience that says 4 or 2 lines is just really like kind of like that's the standard. We're so used to that happening. It's just, I'm like, we just kind of take it for granted. Um, uh, that when you upset that, something kind of strange happens psychologically. So if you make it a 3 line section, you actually make it feel like there's loss. It
Hmm.
feels like something's missing. Like, oh, he didn't complete that thought. Um, and add to that that you're on the 5 chord at the end in that line. Like it just gives a sense of like it's not complete, which is what I feel like's happening to this guy. Like you're hugging me, you're saying you love me, but like something's missing.
Hmm.
And um and and you're just like the guy, just like the narrator is experiencing emptiness even while he's being hugged, even while he's being told he's being loved, he's still feeling that emptiness. Well, you can recreate that psychologically by having a 3 line section and not a 4 line section.
Oh, I really
Not,
like that. That's a cool idea.
is that correct? It's so and because don't you hug me unless you mean it, don't you love me without feeling, don't you hug me unless you mean it, and it leaves it hanging out like there's a beautiful uncomfortableness to it. It's not
Sure.
uncomfortable like in the bad way. Um, and it also emphasizes the unless you mean it. Um, uh, just because of that repetition.
Sure.
Um, and and then here, you could do the same thing. Just make it a 5 line section.
Hmm.
And so as I was listening, I was just kind of playing that out in my mind, and I think that works. Like one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to make the song feel bulky and like, oh, we just added more ingredients to it, just but
Yeah.
I my I feel about 85% sure that this will work.
Yeah. Well, and I like that it, in a repeated section like that where you repeat line one, you'd expect line two to be repeated.
Yeah,
To just not. I think, yeah, I think that could work. And then that does build into because the bridge starts on the 5 chord.
yeah.
Um, and so then it like when you sort of expect maybe some sort of resolution, it launches into this new like this explanation of what feels missing maybe.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah, that's all everything you said. Yeah, because that's what this guy wants. He wants resolution to this relationship, and he's not getting it.
Sure.
And so I was thinking, okay, what are ways to emphasize him not getting it? And that's what I thought of. Um, um, I did think in your bridge, I feel like this order, I would do it in a different order. I would put the door line first. Don't walk me to the door if you don't plan to let me in. Just because you walk on water doesn't mean that I can't swim. If you won't give me your heart, don't give me your hand. I'd rather be your slave than a lone. Oh, I'd rather be your slave than a lonely man. If you don't give me a heart, don't give me your hand.
Hmm.
Because that's the whole issue there. This line
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just brilliant, but this to me sums it up. This is the same thing as if you don't give me your heart, don't hug me, don't say you love me, don't give me your heart, just don't do it.
Yeah.
You're killing me.
Right. Yeah. Just like, yeah, commit to it or don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that. Originally, when I wrote the bridge, it was the walk on water line and then the don't walk me to the door. So it's like you flipped the original line one and two, and the original line three and four. But I think, yeah, I think that works.
It's because I'm a genius.
I flipped the wrong pairings, is what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that though.
Cool. All right. Oh, this I would just, yeah, I'm incredibly jealous of that beautiful. Yeah.
You, as a, do you think that little melody line that I sort of played as an interlude, do you think that fits with the
Oh
tone
yeah.
of the rest of the tune, or do you
Oh yeah.
think it
It's
would?
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I wasn't sure if it sounded too happy or too sort of simple based on the rest of it.
No, it's great. It's gorgeous. This is this is a this is a gorgeous song.
Thank you.
All right, cool.